Let's get into it. 1, 2, 3. Let's get some more. Have your hands. Get some more. Just get some more.
Well, hello, everybody, and welcome to My Whiskey Den, your favorite public access whiskey review show where craft whiskey is king. Thank you very much for joining us this evening. We are going to be having a little year-end review show, but I have lucky enough to have Mike and Mitch both with us tonight. Welcome back, Mitch. For all our fans, he is still alive. Thank goodness. It's just proof. I haven't seen you in forever. I mean, that's the thumbs up's a big deal.
I'm working on it.
He popped in a couple of weeks ago.
I know. But Kevin, good to see you. Thanks for being here early. I got to find something to grab before we go forward here. So I'm going to dip into something we had earlier this year, the Toledo Spirits Vistula. Yeah, I think so. Vistula. Yeah. I have a little sip of this before we go any further. Mike, would you like to tell people about the Bar Cart Co-op? I mean, especially since the sexiest voice in podcasting is already in the chat, and I don't want to let him down.
Okay. Well, I'll do my best. And I already messed it up. So we are proud members of the Bar Cart Co-op, which is a collection of friends who create content for the whiskey and other distilled spirits public. The Bar Cart Co-op YouTube and Facebook pages have information about upcoming and past special shows, which happen about every quarter, from blind tastings to distiller panels to discussions of special collaborations and the usage of unique grains. The Bar Cart Co-op has educational and fun episodes for your enjoyment. The oldest show in the group is Distillers Talk, hosted by Christy Atkinson and Alan Bishop. It's a conversation with people from distilleries and distillery adjacent, getting into deep and sometimes off the rails and back again discussions with their interviews. New episodes arrive at the end of the work week. And if that show is not nerdy enough, check out One Piece at a Time Distilling Institute. This is a show where Alan Bishop answers any questions about distilling and often puts them to the test. It could be individual grains, entire mash bills, equipment, and methodology. New episodes come out randomly, so subscribe. And then we have Bourbon Turntable, where they mix the love of music with the love of whiskey. They have conversations with musicians, writers, distillery folks, and common folks like us about music and whiskey. It releases every Wednesday on all your platforms, including YouTube, and hopefully we will have somebody of authority post what the upcoming shows are for that. Last week was a show on about guitarists. Had guitarists talking about what are their favorite guitarists, some of their favorite songs by guitar players, guitar gods. It was pretty good. It's a good lineup of bands on there. Then we have If You Have Ghosts, You Have Everything, which is a show about the spirits and paranormal among us, as well as the unexplained and the spiritual. Subscribe on Spotify to get the 4 previous seasons and the 5th one, which is going now. And then we have, last but not least, the Whiskey Ring podcast with David Levine. David gets into the weeds with his guests. David does really good reviews. David writes well. David talks good. He does all these things that we don't do.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Thank you, everyone, for stopping in. And like I said, we're going to be doing a little year-end review. And we haven't talked about this at all this year. Oh, sorry. Oh. Very true.
Do we have established amateur whiskey on there also?
That could be interesting. Like you have had some amateur whiskey in your day, so
true that.
Oh, and I don't. That could be taken.
We all not going to say the same word together.
No.
Rhymes with tunes.
Yeah. I got yelled at last week or something, so it was too much. So I won't say it again. Plus, if we all three of us say it at once, isn't that kind of like Beetlejuice? It might show up or some shit.
Might show up and sing us a song.
And we don't want that. But what I was
national recording artist.
international, please. You know,
Fred Minnick liked him.
sure. But what I was getting back to, something we hadn't talked about that this year that did happen in the year. American single malt whiskey just recently became a legitimate thing because of the TTB. We're going to go over a couple of things real quick, the little rules that apply. Fermented mash of 100% malted barley produced in the United States, which is neat because it does not let you do different varieties of barley in your own mash. But number two, or later on, I'll get into it, but distillation proof of 160 or less, distilled at the same distillery in the United States. I like that. In the wheelhouse, your stuff is your stuff. I'm a fan of that. Stored in used, charred new, or uncharred new oak barrels with 700-liter maximum capacity and only stored in the United States. I understand you got to add that last bit in there, but the rest of it pretty wide open as far as what you want to age it in, except for finished barrels. Well, even a little bit with that, you could do that too. So really wide open for what you can use on it. No neutral spirits permitted. Yay. Yay. Sorry, that sounds dumb, but I mean...
but the Canadians have it.
Yeah. No food coloring, flavoring, or blending materials permitted, except for caramel coloring, and they have to state it. So, and if you're getting on people, at least it's there, because I remember Dalmore got quite a uproar at one point when people finally figured that out for themselves. And I'm like, does it taste good? Yes. Well, I'm still going to drink it. And you're not allowed... unless you disclose it on the label, and it's got to be 2 years old. I might have gone. I understand the 2. My initial reaction would have been like I would have thought 3, just uniformity. And yes, sir.
I'm having a Fred Sanford moment.
Yes. Well, I said something, right? Yeah, and it worked.
It's like anyway. I'll say it anyway. This is a variation on something else where you can just say we don't want to let BOONES know how shit it is.
Fair.
Oof.
Yeah.
All right. And so that's a big thing as far as whiskey goes in America, having your own distinction for it. What did you... I understood the 2, because what if you're from the South and it ages quick and you don't want to have to try to prolong it or extend its lifespan if need be. But what are your thoughts on that going through? And hey, thanks, Ben, for popping ahead in here and saying hi. We haven't seen you in a while. Congratulations with everything. This is tasty.
I'm surprised
Missoula was good stuff.
Oh yeah, I'm surprised they put a minimum age in there at all. If I'm 100% honest, right? Because bourbon and rye and all that, it's just bourbon and rye. You just can't put straight on it. So I wonder if they put that 2-year age statement on there to kind of try and keep it with straight.
That's fair. I mean, I could see it with at least some version of actually having it weather in the barrel, which to me, if you were thinking, I think malts, I usually think they're going to be in there. Usually think you're getting 5, 6, 7, 10, but that's because it was all Scotch in the past. As we've learned here, this can happen much quicker in America. That you get a very, very nice product out of some stuff. But I'm still going to say I would think 3 is just... maybe I'm a snob in that case, or an age whore, but it's kind of like bourbon. Sometimes in certain areas, it's It's just an average. Wisconsin, Midwest, it's 5 years on a bourbon when you start to see things churn and change and everything gets. Go ahead.
No, okay. Since you said the A word, H whore, I'm assuming it's hyphenated, but
Twice.
I have had to. I have talked to more people in the last few weeks who are. Well, they're H whores, but they look at something because it's oh, how old is this? Oh, not even 8 years old. Forget it. Like for one, it's like it's just such a stupid argument for with H whores. And what I'm wondering is with the single malts. I mean, I think that most of the H whores aren't going to touch American single malt for a while anyway, because they just want their bourbon,
Yes.
more than anything else. But it'd be really funny because I think a lot of those people have probably never really had a good single malt, number one, but have them completely shit on a 3-year-old American single malt and say, oh, no, it's only 3 years old, it's trash. Without knowing anything about it, without knowing anything about the process. And there are also a lot of them are ignorant of how stuff really works in that. To just finish my point, the way I have described this to people is so everything, if you've cooked anything, okay, there's a recipe. There's a recipe in your head. There's a recipe you're following. I love wild turkey. I have no issues whatsoever with wild turkey. But you talk about someone that's got their process down. There's 2 mash bills, okay? They've got, and the way that they're distilling and everything else, their recipe calls for a number 4 char barrel. Their recipe calls for them for Wild Turkey 101 to be 6 to 8 years old. The recipe calls for Russell Reserves to be in the 10s range, could be 8 to 10, unless you're going to go to anything over the age statement on it. The recipe all calls for that because their process and everything they're using dictates that is what it takes to get that product out. However, a smaller producer on a pot still using different types of barrels, using a unique yeast strain, using unique grains, can get the result, a very flavorful result, without having to stick a double-digit number on their bottle to get people to buy it. But people won't buy it because it doesn't have a double-digit number on the front of the bottle, it shows ignorance, and it's absolutely ridiculous. It's a ridiculous argument that people have because it just really shows that they really don't know what they're talking about. They could just preface it with, I've only had these things, so this is what I like. Instead, it's all that stuff is trash.
Did the pocket of their jeans have extensive embroidery?
Well, I wasn't checking out the jeans. However, there was probably an anger management class in their background, along with the rhinestone on the jeans.
I'm just saying that to me that falls into that bourbon bro category where it's up and nose lifting before you've tried or done anything. And from what we've had along the way, as some of the distilleries, like look at Rua when we had it, very very young, 2-3 years old, fucking
and mind blowing.
Yeah, here, you want me to put it up against your sherried?
Even Fred
scotches?
Super Bro Minnick was blown away by Rua, and these people idolize his list. But it's just, it would just be like, so do you go to a restaurant and then do you say, what's the age on your steak?
How
and if
long
it's
has
not
it
an
been
age, if
Right,
it's not an age, how old was the cow before you killed it? It just, anyway, it's a dumb argument to say, to just turn around and just say, nah, too young. You have no idea what you're trying. You have nothing. You have no idea. You're missing out, which, hey, good for me, but also don't shit on something you don't know what you're talking about.
No, that's true.
Anyway.
I like to rant.
Get back in your Tesla. No. Your Tesla or your Brodozer.
I was going to say Mercedes, but whatever.
Well, yeah. Your grandpa's 80s cocaine Mercedes. So, anyway.
But
and speaking of no ages, this one I'm having tonight, I'm finishing these two off. I had these two single barrel picks that I had gotten from Sealbox, non-distilling producer, product of the famous Great Rickhouse collapse. Have you ever heard about that? But these were Rickhouse collapse 4 months out in the elements while they cleaned them all up, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Anyway, these are cast strength, uncut, barrel pick bottles, and they were like $45 on Sealbox.
nice.
And they're good. So a bro can pass this up because it doesn't have a double-digit number on it. You're a moron. I was going to say something like that.
I was
then.
laughing at stuff at Kevin, and now Kevin and Ben are going. You guys you keep going, but
I was going to say something along those lines when 12-year-olds where it really shines.
Well, at least you waited until they were 15. It's just terrible, terrible things. So I'm happy for that. It does leave out the blended malt category, where blending stuff from different distilleries is not allowed.
For now.
Not allowed to say.
Got to have the single malt before you can have a blended malt category.
I guess. Well, it doesn't rule out that you could do it. It's just the labeling and phrasing of what you're going to do.
There's mystery nooses in all the trees.
So that's the most recent thing. I think it's great. There was a lot of people who've been putting a long time of work into this. Colin Keegan, one of the ones we talked to originally, is like one of the first 13 that started pushing for it, and it's taken a surprisingly long time to get to where it is. Especially when America likes to make money, and all you have to do is
what?
Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, and a happy kind of retirement to Colin Keegan too, by the way.
That's true.
Congrats.
Hold on, let me find a little sip.
A well-deserved kind of retirement until he decides to retire fully.
Well, there's a lot of people in the spirits industry who just take a step back, because you've been doing it for a decade or more. It's eaten up most of that decade. So there's a point where a little time back is well deserved. So, well, cheers to him. Ooh, I'm trying all sorts of great stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Oh. Ooh, all right. That was the most recent. What were some things that stood out for you guys? Just because I that is an important part of the year.
Mitch?
Well, I have been exposed to a completely different set of craft distilleries having moved. So I was going to talk about some of the great ones out here in the Midwest that I didn't know existed when I was back in Kentucky. Oh, no, that's not it. Where'd it go? There it is. This is Loop River Rye.
Hold on.
You can totally see it. There we go. Maybe a little bit better.
Give me a second. There we go.
Yeah, way better.
You look good.
All right, there we go. Absolutely fantastic. It's probably the best whiskey I've had that came out of Nebraska. So kudos to them. And then Revelton, or Revelation, as my girlfriend likes to call it, makes a mulberry gin.
Oh, okay. I can see
Absolutely fantastic. Just
Iowa place.
Yep, Iowa. Astoundingly delicious. Never had mulberries before. My girlfriend loves the pants off of that stuff.
They have a coffee liqueur that's pretty good.
Ooh, I'll have to look for that.
Mm-hmm.
And my brain just shut off on the last one because I didn't manage to pick up a bottle. Well, Balderdash. It's like Lonely Oak, I believe.
Oh,
out of Iowa.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Insanely good. They had a sherry rye that I tried that blew my socks off. And unfortunately, it's not one of those consistently on the shelves things. It's more of a special release. And I have not been able to find it. But, oh my goodness.
You might have to cross over into, because I think that's from around Harlan, Iowa. And I think you need to cross over and hit some of the small stores around there. So like an hour drive for you to venture the small liquor stores.
Yeah, those are the ones I like normally.
Okay.
He ends up selling them whiskey. So who do you rep? What?
I got asked that again today at a bar. Buy a rep.
Was he? I like how the guy was intimidated.
Yeah.
Well, so I showed up with my satchel again, and they pulled out what they wanted to try, and he's like, "I've never seen any of these," and I was like, "Yeah, they're not sold here in Nebraska." He's like, "Who do you rep?" And I was like, "Nobody. I'm just a guy."
Okay. Can either you or Morgan sew?
Nah, I know I can't.
Okay. Because I think instead of the satchel, just hear me out, a whiskey bandolero.
That might be it.
You got crisscross bandoleros with 750s or 375s down there, and then a couple of holsters on the side for either the glasses or just pull some minis out.
That'd be amazing. And then
I'm trying to figure out how many
and a poncho. You walk in with a poncho over everything, and you do the whole thing.
Just knock my hat off because I'm not good at it.
Yeah, Morgan's back there with the shakers.
As he walks through the door here,
kicks the door open.
Why does she have maracas?
The other thing is, we all know and love Wood Hat, but I had their persimmon liqueur.
That's
oh my god!
It's so good.
Oh my god! Oh my god! I think when I first sipped it, I think I said, "Oh my god" for like 5 minutes, and just was blown away. So good. It was everything I ever wanted fall to taste like without apples.
It's pretty darn tasty, and I have now found a couple more places in town here that have it, so I don't have to go to Wood Hat.
That was one of the bottles I took to the bar, and people were just there like, and just like went straight back in. I was like, oh yeah.
That and the Tawny Berry, I took those two together to multiple things over the span of like a month. And I think it had to have been last year. And then I ended up leaving what was left of, which was like, I don't know, a quarter of each bottle, left it with my sister-in-law. And then she tried it and she was like, what is this? Yeah. She's a big wine person, and she tried that Tawny Berry, that one. She was just like, oh my God. Then she tried the persimmon and she was like, okay. Like, yeah, it's good.
I wasn't teasing when I brought this over. I knew
I knew you'd dig it.
Hey, well, the Tawny Berry, that's the one that I equated to like that Little House on the Prairie cordial, where I was like that one chick who just started hammering a whole like bottle.
Was it Anne of Green Gables?
Anne of Green Gables.
Yes.
Sorry.
Yeah.
I just saw the blonde that was like, this is really good. And all of a sudden I'm like, woof, and I'm like, yeah, the bottle's gone. What happened? I don't know. It was delicious.
Yeah, it's a good thing those cordials come in small bottles.
I disagree.
375s and Bandoleros
1.75s because I like them too much to just keep buying 375s. Just sell me a 1.75 so I don't have to travel as much.
If if you could get the bottles the Edel brand size, so they were thinner for the Bandolero, you could slide more in. Like that would be tight.
See, not so crazy, am I? It's a good idea.
It's not a bad idea. It's just it's going to end poorly. Is the problem?
You come in there with all your stuff, and then they go, "Oh, he's here." El Wettel.
I was here last time. I couldn't walk out. He gave me a shirt. Said I got wettled.
He makes everybody sleepy.
Not always just with alcohol.
Hey, Cosby, chill out.
He's a guy in the car. He's back again. Oh no!
Cover your glasses.
Wow.
Get you.
Either that he's more like he's back again. Oh no, the glasses—they're just appearing.
That's where someone leaves and comes back with friends again. Like, what happened? Where did these 8 people come from?
He's rubbing my shoulders with his eyes.
That's so descriptive. Oh.
Oh, Mitch is your huckleberry. That's pretty good. Ooh, huckleberry vodka. Hey, there's a way. You could slide that.
I've got one bottle left of that.
Well, Mike, what's something that stood out for you this year?
I know this. Some would see it as a negative, but I see it as a positive, and we actually recently talked about it. But the collapse of Kentucky Owl, because I think that's a little bit of a correction on the horizon for some stuff that's been going on, it's what happens. I mean, it happens with other things when people overly invest in something like properties or things like that, because it's like all on speculation, but also you buy something on speculation and you don't maintain the quality and or performance, and guess what happens?
Hey, they sell someone a Porsche and it goes 60 miles an hour less than
you don't have your theme park is not there to make people go to it. So, and now what's your attraction to get people to go to the theme park, even if you could possibly build it? So I think I think it's a good, because it's, we all love going to places that are destinations, but you don't need to build a whiskey Disneyland. It's a horrible idea.
For me, to do that, you would almost have to have like collaboration amongst some of your bigger brands to pull Whiskeyland off. And it sounds weird, but I mean, I don't know. You
Kentucky Bourbon Trail Land.
Okay. There's something.
Diageo Land, one of the two.
Well, I mean, whatever it sounds, the one sounds better. You know what I mean? And that might be the way to pitch it more. But I mean, even then, you're taking away from going to each of the individual places, which is neat. So that's a hard one. I mean, you almost have to have enough money or place to be making a venue, and then bring in your whiskey, and
right?
Bring in other things at that point. So it's.
But you ruined your draw.
Well, yeah.
That's just it. Before the park even opened, you ruined your draw.
Okay, but would you say you ruined your draw by selling it in the first place?
No, you ruined it because you bought it because it was a known entity, and it's kind of like one of those things where someone, people hand keys to somebody else. Like, all you got to do is don't wreck the car. Don't ruin the car.
Well, and you said it, and as soon as you said it,
and as soon as you did it,
through their head,
repainted the car and put a new engine in it. It's not the same car. It's the same shape. But yeah, it's that. I mean, anyway. But again, I think that's kind of a correction thing is good. I mean, I think some of the things are, Anyway, I think that's a good thing. At least industry wise, that was good. American single malt, that was going to be one of my big things. But quite honestly, one of the other some of my best things that I had on there, at least, were like things, because we've always discovered something that's new, and it's nice you get something that we haven't heard about, or someone gets really excited about something and then other people get to find out about it. But I had a couple of things that I had on there was Shriner Spirits for one, because a great non-BS story, and really cool how it's being resurrected and stuff. Seems to be handled really well as far as how they're handling it and trying to get the releases out. That was a good one. And these actually have both of these have to do with Mitch, really. Morgan through Mitch, but one shining light on Toledo Spirits, which we had a little bit a year ago at Distill America, but that's really good whiskey, and the fact that they ship is really it's good. And the other one was the I mean this affectionately, the nut at 451, because it's like I'm going to do whatever I want.
Yeah.
And this is what it's going to be. And when I've talked to people about it, I still have some of the pizza pichuga, just a little bit of it, and every now and then I'll just take a whiff of it because it's just like, oh yeah, that funk. And I was describing this in April or May, and I was down at Iron Root, and I was describing it to Jonathan Licorice and Chris Trevino. And they're both, first it was just like, oh, it's kind of like had the interested face, and then the, oh, it's like, yeah, if I have to get you something to describe, it's like, I would love to see what you guys would do with something like that. It's like do a burrito taco pachuga or something.
Yeah, I was going to say, I'm like, that would be sweet too. I'm like, take it a different route. That would be awesome. Yeah. He actually got back to us on one of the videos the other day after he watched it. He was happy people were appreciative of
not you, Neil.
Spirits.
Mr. Control.
Hey, someone you gotta pump the brakes yourself at some point.
100% perfect tasting technique and everything. It's like Neil was just like he sampled. You could tell he was sampling, but it was just like, yeah. Total control. It was so impressive.
The 451 was like having a mad scientist behind the wheels. It reminded me possibly of Mark from Silver Fox. Not a wholly in the same vein, but where it was, if we get an idea, I'm going to try to make it.
Yes.
Like, I got an idea. Okay, well, we're going to try to make it. A little bit different in the style and approach, maybe, but very similar in the. I can do that. Here, let's do this right now.
Yeah.
And I like that type. That is a neat type of inspiration, and it's a different type of distillery and a different person in the distilling field than what you're accustomed to. How about that? You're going to go in there and. Like you were saying, Mitch, he's based around music. It's a different, I want to say, mindset or concept, or how about feel to what you're stepping into than the standard distillery. Which, you know what, there's nothing wrong with that. It's good to have an action. When we talk about experiences, it's good to have a different experience actually when you're someplace, rather than I tasted something different, but this was the same tour I had at the last 4 places. And nothing, stood out on the, on the wall or here or there or anything. So yeah, that was, I was really surprised by them. I like that.
Yeah, there was a lot. The thing I liked about was granted, between the pictures and the description, I thought it was a really good view into the place where it was just like, where's your tasting area? It's this old piano. What's this? That's my music area, which was about as large as the distilling area. It's just like this is what it is. This is my spot. It's in a strip mall, and I make this weird stuff.
And it's amazing.
Yeah, that was. I mean, everything was good. Every single thing was good.
The other thing earlier like almost the first thing we had was when we had some of Island Getaway's rum, that orange rum with hot chocolate. It's fucking awesome.
Yeah, that was good.
Fucking awesome. That was one of my other, like, add it to the drinks that you should have seasonally if you're gonna do summer, and it's huckleberry vodka and lemonade. That is a winter drink. Anytime you want hot chocolate and some of their orange rum. Woo, fucking. I just thought of that now. I should have gotten some. I may even try to get some now, because that's another one where whoever has it isn't going to complain. You know, like,
And it was a very good priced rum.
Yes, it was.
Yeah.
For what you were getting, it was
Or
like
just a good priced
19.
spirit. Period. Yeah, it
Yeah.
was like everything was under $30 or something.
Yeah, and I think most
Yeah.
of them were like 19-ish or something, where you're like, but yeah, really.
Yeah. And you
clean.
need those. Everybody, you need those go-tos that you can get and that are cheap to keep around, that also just happen to, maybe knock your socks off a little bit.
Yeah, it's an easy holiday party drink. That one. Boom, bing, 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 bing. There, throw some marshmallows in it. Everyone's happy.
Yeah, and everything that was on the label with those is like, oh, what's this one? It's pineapple. Yes, 100% that is pineapple. It's like there's no a hint of pineapple, a hint of orange. Nope, it was pineapple and it was orange. End of story.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So those. Let's see. There's a couple. I mean, you guys obviously named a few of the other the big things that kind of popped up.
Yeah. I had one other one which I thought was just a good interview and a good story. Was Ethan Spaulding, the Buzzard's Roost. Good story, super nice guy. Just a really, really, I mean,
a solid night of samples.
I think he just turned 25.
Good.
Solid kid for that age.
Yeah, I was gonna say, doing well for his age at that point. Then, foot in the door at the right and in a good place. You know. One of mine, what was it here? I spun past. There was a question to Mitch.
Oh no.
It was about something you were doing.
Oh,
I don't know how that's.
Yeah,
I was going to ask you about that too.
About your the whiskey thing.
So it's moving along pretty well. We spoke to the cooperage that we're using, and I created the toast profile for all the barrels that we'll be using. There's 4 different toast profiles, so I can blend them together. We're working on getting some craft whiskey that I can blend in to maybe help that MGP along. But it's hurry up and wait, right? Because it is.
Sorry, that's how it works usually.
The distilling industry in a nutshell, right there, right? So we're using a cooperage out of Spain. So of course, transporting the barrels from Spain to America isn't necessarily the quickest thing in the world. And then, of course, trying to get.
Are they coming assembled?
I'm sorry.
Are they coming assembled?
Yes.
Or I thought you might be coopering them back to.
No.
Back to
so it's so much cheaper to transport things than it is to pay someone to reassemble things. They just transport barrels whole now. So I don't know how many years ago that was not the case, but it is the way it is now. So yeah, it's moving right along. Probably February or March we'll actually get the barrels and be putting whiskey into the finishing barrels, which is really exciting.
Nice.
Very
That's cool. That was one of those things that kind of, I want to say, slid back under the radar for a while. So I was intrigued to see where that was going. I don't want to poke and prod too much, but
that's cool. I try to be as transparent as I can, but simultaneously I don't want to be like, hey, look at me, look at what I'm doing. Did I mention what I'm doing yet?
Look what I can do.
Yeah, so it's fun. I'm really excited. So here in 6 to 9 months, might have some really solid samples that I'll be blending together.
That's cool. And the only other one I had on here this year for cocktails would be Matt when we had him on from Whiskey Tail, and they did something cool that I'm intrigued about. We mentioned maybe doing something sort of similar. They had a cookie contest for Christmas, so they had a Christmas cookie contest, and I kind of that with like a food pairing or a whiskey pairing. I just thought for a bar that's a good way to bring in the community, for everyone to kind of share and come in. And I'm like, that was a neat little trick. I like that one. And I like the fact they change their cocktails every month. I mean, they have their standards, but they'll come out with like new ones every month, and it's, a little more creative and stuff. But we didn't do too much else with cocktails this year. So, I mean, we made our own, but
the old-fashioned video.
Oh, that's true. Yes. Yeah, but those are all ours.
The old-fashioned one was technically a year ago.
Oh.
So I think it was 2023. But
never mind.
Yeah. Speaking of old fashions, I have since completely got my batched old fashioned recipe down.
Nice.
Oh.
Yeah.
Honed in on it.
So my Manhattans, which are, if you drink them right out of the fridge, they're boozy. I think you guys had them, didn't you? Yeah, they're boozy. I mean, if you have them frozen and you just pour a little bit, it's okay. But obviously, you should really put it over ice, or maybe don't. But the old fashions are the same way, and so I need to get some more. I mean, I could explore finding some good orange liqueurs that I like, but the orange liqueur from Crooked Water is, as they say, the shit. And so that one, which I'm now out of, so I use that. So because the whole idea was, one, making them easy, and two, making them portable. And I use that orange liqueur, and then I also use the Leopold cherry liqueur, so that I did not add any orange and did not add any cherries to it, and also no need for sugar. So,
Yeah, I was going to say, like, those are good choices for the flavors you're getting out of them. I like that.
Crooked Water was a nice, not sharp, just a nice overall orange. Some other orange ones that I've had, they've just been very sharp and or a little metallic.
Or they get it's sharp. I feel like you get the rind flavor in it.
It's like you bit into the orange and that's all you get. The Crooked Water one was a good orange. So yeah.
I agree with all those. And
so one of the big shakeups that I was thinking that I kind of put aside, because I was like, well, we did just talk about the whiskey industry dying, possibly, was everybody's favorite alchemist switching distilleries.
Huh, that's true.
That's true.
He did.
So to me, that was a pretty big shakeup right there.
That's true. Still waiting for it to open.
Yeah. I guess you could stop in and see stuff, but it's coming. Hey, better to do it right once you have everything.
I want to take bottles home.
Yeah.
Got the sample stuff. I want to take bottles, and I really want to take a bottle of that lemon drop.
Well,
because it was good.
That's something I'd like to try. Maybe we could steal one. They got to be close to getting those.
The labels have been published through social media, so it should be really soon, and then those things should start becoming available. But yeah,
I hear jars are popular roundabouts there.
They can be.
It can be, but it depends. I guess it depends on how close you are. Or really, I guess if you get close enough that you have labels, then I think after you have labels, then you could send samples out. So, because I think it has to be official. It has to be something you can keep track of, and I'm sure there's all kinds of wonderful government rules and regulations around the whole thing. But I just hope we can get vetted this time, because that would really go a long way to.
I mean, if we're gonna have to fill out a form, we can do it. It's always weird when you circumvent the requirements, you know.
Yeah.
Yep. You're pre-vetted, and then
I just hope they make more than 30 bottles.
Well, of anything, that would be great.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well,
I'm looking forward to that one, but now I've just been kind of like.
Well, that's the batch releases of that lemon drop. It's 30 bottles at a time.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just,
yeah. Yeah. I want to try the other sunshine stuff too. So yeah.
Well, that's what I want.
Coming.
I want to see that vein, which I think will be kind of neat. Off of anything the sunflower will be neat. So good call, Mitch. I like that one too. But I don't know. We're close to an hour this time. And other than that, people, like you said, people moved. Whiskey Thief got a spot downtown. So did Buzz's Roost. So that's nice. Adds a lot more to the area when I tell people to go places when they're just going there. Easier to hit up. I don't know. I don't want to call it two more respectable places. I think that's fair.
And our friend adjacent got his place back, Mark Carter.
That's right.
Yeah.
Which that's an interesting story. It'll be good. I'm glad that he did. And to see what will go on with that afterwards too.
Yeah, I mean, I've met him 3 times. He was very nice. He was very nice all the times and stuff. So seemed like a nice person. So good for him. Like I said, it's got his name on it. Could have easily just said, "See ya."
Well, it's neat to see people. I think you've seen more of that, of people wanting to reclaim something they, I don't want to say let go or had to let go at some point, but wanting to take it back. Like you said, having that ownership, and maybe even though you let it go, it's like past. Sometimes you don't let all the way go with something. There's left a mark on you, and it sits there. So yeah, that's what I think. That could be the more interesting, is seeing people who had left kind of come back, or where after the collapse happens. There's going to be more that happens, to see where the reshuffling of distillers go, or head distillers go. Because there's a lot of them that move around quite frequently to begin with. So that might be my new thing for next year, is seeing how that all shakes out in the realm, if it does start to go that way.
Yeah. I think the tree's going to get shaken a couple more times, and that's not a bad thing.
It has to. Sorry, I thought it should have been happening 3 years ago. I can't believe it got pushed to where it did.
I don't, and one thing which I just to make sure it's out in the public for the dozens that will listen to me. I don't think that I don't want to have something where it's just a randomness of good people losing their, they lose their what they're doing. They no longer can produce now because they've been knocked out of the tree. What I hope happens is that there's a few that fall from the tree that make other people go, oh, we need to have a little self-correction here. And one of those is something that people, as previously mentioned, The Alchemist has said for a few years. If you're going to try to survive just by making bourbon, you're an idiot, which is a paraphrase, but it's like, you need to be doing something else, and you need to be doing something different, because if all you do is make bourbon and the bourbon bubble breaks, that's not going to take someone who's known for their rye or their single malt or their alternative spirits. It just means,
well,
the bourbon bubble has broken.
It's playing an odds game that wasn't really in your favor in the first place.
Yeah.
Is the way I'd put that. I mean, you're staying alive is one thing, staying in it and keeping yourself going, but playing bourbon's game inside, it's like you said, but like with Wild Turkey, you're playing with some, your niche might be 1%, If you were to
Yeah.
get to that in sales, goddamn, that's impressive. And I don't mean
Yeah.
that negatively. That
And you
would
will
be
never make
phenomenal.
wild turkey. You will not make wild turkey, and definitely not at the price that they can do wild turkey. You won't. They've got it down. You can't touch them. Don't try to make it. Make something else. Be unique.
But there are, and then the unique part, but what I'm finding unique is there are some of these craft distilleries, like Iron Root will say sleight of hand. It's a blend, but
Mhm.
you're getting something at about $35, which for me is the new 25, like I was saying last
Mhm.
week. We're describing all that shit went $5-10 up. That's just the way it is. Sucks. But that's the new, for me, that's not a bad price point. That's what you used to get Eagle Rare for, was 30. So if you're putting something like
30
that,
shit.
well,
20.
okay, well, okay, but
Yeah.
comparatively for what you're getting, and I know there's some other places working on hitting kind of that ballpark, or at least having something in the lineup where for a lot of smaller or mid-sized distilleries, they don't, it's hard to hit that price point. I'd say it's 50. You know what I mean? Just
It is, but there needs
that's
to be
just,
more new stuff under $40 and specifically around $30.
yes. Oh,
There
that's
absolutely needs to be. And that's like you mentioned the sleight of hand. I mean, for the most part, it is like $35.
Yeah.
And made that way, to be that way, to do it. It's like, this is an entry level to the stuff. And there's a few other places that are actually, well, I may even get, this is a craft one that I got this given to me as a Christmas gift. And so apparently I liked my Christmas gift already, but it's a switchgrass sweet mash bourbon, grain forward bourbon. And it's like 30 some dollars for a craft bourbon. And it's nice. And that's exactly what people need. Everyone's tired. They're tired of this new craft. Your new craft distiller. Or what's your stuff? So it's $75. So your entry point is $75, or you're a non-distilling producer and your entry point is $85 because they're barrel proof barrel picks, and no one's ever heard of you before. I mean, it's kind of it's hard to sustain that, and it's hard for people to go, I want to try, you know what? I want to risk my $85 to try your stuff, when they could go, I could buy 2 of these. I could buy 2 of these and have money for Slim Jims, or I could, roll the dice on your thing here.
So that's the other thing for next year, I think that's kind of a goal if I was in the industry, is finding something that hits at that point. I mean, I can't always do that. I understand. Some places it's going to be 50, it's 50, and that's as good as it's going to be, because that's just reality. But like you said, hunting for a way to kind of cut that down or cut into it, to have something that's like, here you go, you could walk into the store and walk out and be happy. Where I'm saying you're replacing, like I said, the 35 used to be a 25. You're trying to find something that is, in the past, was taking Kessler's place for a couple bucks more, and being significantly better than what you were getting at that price point, in my mind.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a tough ask, but the people who are doing it I think it's a hell of a statement. And I think you'll see more people headed towards that.
I agree. And another thing I would like to see, at least going forward, is I'd like to see more non-distilling producers that are doing blending to differentiate themselves and come out with a good price point. And one of the ones that I had written down of doing that haven't had all of it, but never watched the TV show, could care less about it. But Brothers Bond is putting out stuff. It's a sourced blend, and they're blending the whiskeys and putting it out, and it's a decent price, and it's good. And that's what we need. It's different enough, and you'll have people buy it because they like the TV show that these guys are on. But I think it's hey Matt, and but I think that's stuff like that. That's what people need. They don't need another $8,500 whiskey. That's the entry point. Have something like that that's a much lower cost that just happens to be good. So yeah, see, Matt agrees. Matt agrees with me. So either Matt has gone completely off the rails, or I might actually be a percentage of right.
But here, so now that I'm in Nebraska, I can get Cat's Eye Distillery stuff. Gene Nassif, he is a super great blender. Like I've picked up 2 or 3 bottles from him, or not from him, but of his stuff now, and it's like, oh, I like what you're doing.
Yeah.
Have you had the NASA Family Reserve?
I had it. I've had a pour of it. I don't have a bottle of it. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, that's it's another one. It's a good proof. It's a good 107, 108 proof whiskey. It's like $45. Bourbon and rye blend. It's nice. I mean, and it started off. I think it started off. That was his wedding blend, because that's what started it.
Mm-hmm.
And then kept going with it. And again, it's like, yeah, he's sourcing these things, doing these things, blending. It's a great entry point. You could find it at a lot of places, and it just happens to be really good.
Yeah,
so there's not a downside there.
And you're speaking holidays. You like the Crumpnick right now, right? Is that
that Cat's Eye Crumpnick? Oh my God! If I could find another one of those. Oh, Mitch, you might be able to find this. I picked this up in Southern Iowa, Cat's Eye Crumpnick, and it was it wasn't really a whiskey, but it was a honey and spices. And it was, I mean, it was a little sticky, but it was a spirit. And I mean, it was fall in a glass. Ooh. It was so stinking good. It had the dregs floating around in it from the spices and stuff. But it was so good. And when I got this small town, and it was the only one on the shelf. And I haven't seen another one in the times I've gone back up to Iowa, but I would love to pick up another one of it. But I mean, it was just like beautiful sipping, sit outside. It smelled and tasted like fall. It was super good.
Yeah, I remember that one. It was like fall, Christmassy. I'm like, here, you put this, you slot this one in for Tuesdays.
Yeah. Cat's Eye. I wish I could get more of their stuff. Like we can get there's a couple of Obtainiums I've seen around me. There's one of the Obtainium. I see a light whiskey every now and then, but I have not seen the hazmat one like we had before. Oh. That one was just nuts. But the stuff that Cat's Eye does is just kind of, it's like 451, but without the artistic part of it, where it's just like, you know what we should do? Let's do this.
Well, what did they had the one year? What the heck did he do with what? Oh, the rye that was from Poland.
Yeah, the Polish rye.
Yeah, the Kasuba Brothers rye that
I have one unopened bottle of that batch.
Fucking insane. That was almost like 72 proof, wasn't it?
Yeah.
It taste at all like
it was like Eastern Bloc country, kick your door down, slap you in the mouth, and yell at your family. Rye whiskey. You will drink this rye.
You will like it. Oh,
where are your papers?
Can I have another?
No, you may not. Now have another. I'm telling you to have another. It was so good.
Because it was that one and there was something else, because it was like, what do we all have tonight? It was 74, 72, 69, 73. Like it was all monster, like crazy white whiskey that night. We are at an hour coming up here, and I do have a couple things I still need to do before Christmas. Gonna do a little wrapping of presents and stuff like that, unfortunately. But yeah, it was. I still, yeah. You can be slapped and like it.
There's nothing wrong with getting slapped around. I mean, sometimes everybody needs a kick in the pants for one reason or another.
The thing that wakes you up sometimes. Yeah. Everything else.
But if it comes in the form of a glass, something in a glass. Hey, you got to get tossed around every now and then.
Mm-hmm. All right. Well, that covers a couple of things we all thought were important and kind of neat that we hit over the year. So Mike, I know you're a little busy next week, so we may. I don't know. We may skip next Monday. I know you're busy.
I could join in. I could join in late, but
Join in late. We'll see.
If you do something prior to the holidays,
we could.
Christmas Eve.
Maybe each of us come up with a cocktail.
Ooh, that could be hard. I'm really bad at that.
That's what she said.
The first
Could be hard.
I've also the past 2 days I am so sleep deprived and I'm very punchy.
Yes, that's true. Thank you for stopping in this evening and checking out what we were talking about. There's definitely a couple things that stood out this year as surprising and fun in the year. But
we got to get our awards figured out too.
Oh, we do. That's not till the beginning of maybe the 30th or beginning of next year. I like to take that kind of serious, and there's some time I need to set aside. Or I don't like doing it when my kid's up because I get distracted. Something happens. He asked me a question. She asked me a question. Some scoring gets weird.
My favorite whiskey is Peppa Pig. No, that's not right.
Pepperback. But no, that's not it.
Peppa Pig single malt.
It's aged for 5 years.
Yeah.
By
Wiggles
Highwire.
Rye.
By Highwire.
Yeah.
By Benton's at the same time. Is he okay? Is he having a stroke right now? Could be.
I was thinking Whistle Pig, Peppa Pig, like piggyback.
That's where I went at first, but then I jumped to Alan Benton whiskey.
Now you're talking.
Not bacon whiskey. It's not good.
The fat.
Benton Smoke not too.
I could imagine that being good. What I have is artificially flavored whiskey.
Oh.
Why did you do that to yourself?
Yeah. I would have thought it would have been maybe
$15.
That's the best answer. Oh.
I've made a lot of dumb decisions in my life. That was one of them.
Didn't make a good decision. Sorry about that, guys.
Yeah.
No judgment from me, Mitch. I've made a few
cheap
of those.
artificial whiskey. It's like saying truck stop sex is good.
Why'd you? I don't know. It was my best moment.
She was at least 60. Anyway, I'm sleep deprived, so stupid.
Anyway. All right, ladies and gentlemen, you guys have a good rest of the week. We will see you before the holidays next week. And remember, it's not the size of the den that matters. It is the love of whiskey. Cheers, everyone.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Thank you.